intercept the signer sheet, which is a non-standard signer sheet, and then got the TD Bank government liaison to sign off on it. And then they sent this in. So the process has been violated. It's inappropriate. It should not have happened. Again, this commission did not vote. Commissioner Shropshire, you're going to have the last matter. We're going to vote on the report, and then we're going to move on, hopefully have a discussion about economic development.
I was just going to move to vote on approving the treasurer report.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the treasurer's report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed?
I'm abstaining.
One abstention.
What was it? How many opposed?
One opposition, one opposed, one abstention. I move that the commission pay the outstanding T-Mobile phone bill.
The account is closed, so you cannot.
You can pay a phone bill. This is the account being frozen. The account being frozen has nothing to do with the commission having to pay its legitimately owed outstanding bills. That process just has to be facilitated through the DC auditor. So I don't even understand that. I don't even understand that. The government must pay its bills. So I will put a motion on the floor, and I ask for a second.
I second it.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we pay the outstanding T-Mobile phone bill, which has not been paid since December 2014. Is there a discussion? No, the audience can't discuss.
I actually have a request that you share those bills with us from January until now, so we can know exactly what we're trying to pay for. Can you share those with us? Can you share those with us?
Commissioner Shropshire, you're the treasurer. You
No,
should have the bills. You do
I
have the bills.
do not have the bills because actually I have copies of the last bill that I had, which was in December, and actually it still says DC Advisory Neighborhood Commission, ANC 5D, attention Commissioner India Henderson, 1807 L Street. I don't get these. You have them.
Have you contacted T-Mobile?
You should have access. Yes, I have.
And what did they tell you?
You have access to the account. Either you or India. I don't have access, and I have never had access.
The former Commissioner Henderson, she
That's
has
who's
no access.
on here. That's who's on here.
As of the 14th.
Here you go.
Have you made any
Have
efforts to pay the phone bill?
Have you made any efforts
It's
to
okay.
give me
We don't.
Okay, it's 8:30. Can we move along? My children are home alone.
Order. It's been moved and properly seconded that we pay the phone bill. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
The motion fails.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Snowden,
But regardless,
I'm sorry,
I
Debbie.
prefer Courtney to all of it. So worry not. Call me Courtney because I tell you, I've been Courtney much longer than I've been deputy mayor. And my mama calls me Courtney, all my friends call me Courtney, and y'all are all my friends now, so you two will call me Courtney. So I'm Courtney Snowden. I'm deputy mayor for Greater Economic Opportunity. Let me start by saying 3 things. I'm so sorry that I'm so late. I was at, 7D. I started the evening at 7D, and they had a development presentation that went maybe an hour and a half over. And so that pushed me back from my evening. So 1, let me say just how sorry I am that I'm so late. 2, I start every commission meeting always the same, which is, it is such an honor to be here with you tonight. And here's why. All of us have long days, right? Me included. We're tired, we want to get home to our kids. I want to see my baby before he closes his eyes. I won't, but I'd like to tonight. But nothing is more energizing or exciting to me than walking into communities where people are deeply engaged in the work that is happening. Now, we have disagreements, we have fights. We do that in my own ANC commission meeting where just 5 months ago I was you sitting on this side, listening to people come in and watching some of these things happen. And so I'm just so excited to see so much activity and engagement. And I'm incredibly grateful for you for all your service, and incredibly grateful for you for coming. I'm gonna keep it short because I know we all wanna go home. It says on the agenda I'm gonna talk about the Bladensburg Road development specifically, but I'm gonna talk a little bit more broadly than that. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what our office does, and then talk about development more generally, and then take a couple of questions. I don't know how much time I have, but I'll take a couple of questions, or as many as you will have me for. And then I will tell you on the front end, it's not the last time you're gonna see me. So don't worry if you don't get it all in. You can call me, you can email, you can reach out to my staff, but I'll come back again and talk and hang out and hopefully get here a little earlier so we can have a longer conversation. So, many of you heard the mayor talk about a deputy mayor for East of the River Affairs when she was a candidate for this position, right? And a lot of people were scratching their head like, what does that mean? And the reality is that she tried to move that from concept to actuality, she thought to herself, and others thought with her, that a deputy mayor just for Ward 7 and Ward 8 wouldn't work. For two reasons. One, part of the influence of the deputy mayor is that they have agencies that report to them, right? And without agencies, they have nothing to leverage or trade with other deputy mayors. That's one piece. But two, they're overlooked and underserved communities all over this city. Now, it's true, I haven't found one in Ward 3 yet. You let me know if you do. But there's certainly some in Ward 5 and Ward 6. Particularly as we've seen development happen, some of our more vulnerable communities have become more and more isolated, even as things like stadiums have popped up, right? And so she realized that and had, I think, what is an amazing amount of vision. No mayor has ever appointed someone like this. And so people often ask me, well, what is it that you're gonna do exactly? We have 2 agencies in our portfolio or cluster, and 1 office and 1 commission. Tony Duggar is the executive director on the Commission for Fathers, Men, and Boys. He is here this evening, has been with you, I think, for a significant amount of time tonight. That's one thing that's within our cluster, 1 commission. We have the Office of African American Affairs, the Department of Small and Local Business Development, and everyone's favorite, the Department of Employment Services. Lots of work to be done, focused on doing 2 things. Getting people to work who have not worked before, and getting people who are not working back to work, right? That's what we do. Be it through entrepreneurship and then developing new businesses and then hiring, or be it through the common ways in which we identify employment opportunities and help move people into them. So everyone has a Department of Employment Services story. I've heard it as I've traveled around the city. None of them ever start with, you guys are doing a great job, right? None of them ever start that way. But here's the reality. There is a lot of good work happening in the Department of Employment Services, but there are a lot of things that we also need to improve. And so the commitment that this mayor has made and the commitment that I make in this position is that we're gonna get this piece right. Because I don't care how much affordable housing we build, how much retail, how many office buildings we build. The fact is, if you don't have a job, you can't pay for most of those things. And in overlooked and underserved communities in particular, what we don't have are a bunch of office buildings that people can work in, or a bunch of retail where people can get jobs. We just don't have it yet. Ward 7 and Ward 8 are prime examples of that fact, but also parts of Ward 5 and Ward 6. So we are working to make sure that we are gonna get people working. We're gonna do that by doing 3 things. We're gonna build a comprehensive workforce system that works. There's one in North Carolina that's remarkably effective. It's a 4-legged stool that includes a high-quality community college, a well put together workforce investment board and Department of Employment, or labor department, if you will, and employers who help to move the conversation forward and identify what the demand is for the growing industries. We haven't had a system that works like that, nor does it work comprehensively. And so that's what I've been spending the last 4.5, 5 months of my life focused on. Now, does that mean we're gonna fix this overnight? You already know the answer to that, so I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm good, I'm not that good. But what we are gonna do is really be thoughtful about how we do it. Now, before I came into this job, I worked in government relations for a progressive public policy firm. And one of the companies that was my client was Google. And one of the things I learned while working at Google is you gotta try some things out. You gotta throw spaghetti up against the wall, as my mother would say, and see what sticks. Well, that's the type of innovation that we're gonna bring into the Department of Employment Services and the Department of Small and Local Business Development. Because we know if we can innovate and move quickly and take what works and scale it and quit doing what doesn't work, which is not something that government is always good at, we can get some things right, get people effectively trained. I went to a training program and there was someone being trained on how to use a typewriter. What? I don't even know the last time I saw a typewriter, right? Like really, legitimately in use, right? Probably when I applied for college in 1997, right? I'm young, I know. I'm kidding. So the point is, we got to be making sure that we're creating training programs and helping to spend the more than $100 million this city spends on training and workforce development programs for jobs that exist today and for the jobs that will exist tomorrow. Now, that's a little rhetoric, right? Because you mouthed it right there with me. But the reality is that's the challenge. That's what we have to do. And industry's got to play a role in that. We have to have a system that allows all the players to participate in the way in which they need to. So that's one. Two, we don't know enough about our unemployed population here in the district. The district collects a ton of data. I was blown away by how much data we collect. But we haven't used that data to tell us very much about the residents of the District of Columbia, both those who are the most vulnerable, who need a significant amount of help to get to work, a significant amount of help to get back to work or to get to work. But there's a population of people who aren't vulnerable, who just need an opportunity or who are trained and ready but haven't found the right job, or who just need one or two things just to get them over the hump. So we're going to fix that. We're going to better utilize data, and we're creating systems to be able to do that right now as we speak. Ooh, I had a good third one, but I haven't had a cup of coffee since 2 o'clock, and I can't remember. I can't remember what my third one is, but we're going to fix it. The point is, we're going to fix it. With the Department of Small and Local Business Development, historically, DSLBD has focused primarily on just the 1,100 businesses that want to do business with government. Well, here's what we know. Small businesses are the economic engines that are going to push our communities forward, particularly those communities that are overlooked and underserved, right? They are one of the largest hirers in the city, small businesses, when you add them up collectively. Particularly in communities where we can't get development to move fast enough, small businesses really do become the engine that gets it done. The Denny's on Benning Road, the Denny's just around the corner. That was one of the, that was one of the first of the last things here. But you get my point, right? Those are the people who, although those aren't small businesses. Let me come up with a small business. God, coffee. Team.
Mother Rucker.
Right, Mother Team. Make sure I have coffee after 4 o'clock, please. But right, so yes, all the small business, or Horace and Dickey's, right? Or any number of small businesses that have existed in our communities. So we know they're going to hire from our communities, and so instead of focusing specifically only on CBEs, we've got to focus beyond just CBEs and engage small businesses and help them start, which is actually shockingly the easy part once people get over the intimidation of starting their own business. The more important piece is helping them grow and then thrive and ultimately become contributors by hiring people who live in the city. And so we're going to get that piece right too. Now, we've all talked a fair amount, this community and others, about the overwhelming and disheartening uptick in violence that has happened across the city. Now, I'm a 6th generation Washingtonian, right? I grew up in this town. My family's been here a long time. And so it doesn't matter, as the mayor says, if you've been here for 5 minutes or 5 or 6 generations. But the reality is, for those of us who lived through the worst parts of the murder capital label, we know how devastating that was, both on the economics of our communities, but also on the spirit of our communities. And I feel like, in some ways, the spirit piece is being, that broken spirit is coming back a little bit. People are scared and they're frustrated, and frankly, we don't know why the uptick in violence is happening. We have a ton of reasons. We can list off 5, 6, 7 reasons why it could be, but the fact is, an important piece is about making sure that our young people and older folks too have access and opportunity to get high quality, well-paying, at least livable wage jobs, right? And so we're going to get that piece right, but the mayor also outlined in her strategy to address the violence a number of pieces that we are also going to improve. Now, we walk communities together, and one of the first things that we hear when we walk these communities, with the mayor or without, is that people want to see a more significant police presence. We hear it over and over again, no matter the community in which we walk. And so the mayor's going to do that. We are going to strengthen our police presence, and we're doing it as we speak. But there's some other things that we're going to do that I'm really excited about. We're rolling out, we rolled out last week, a mini grant program for 5 communities that have experienced the most significant upticks in violence. Now, not every community that needs some help is included among that, but this is a first start just to get some funds to the community to do the hard work of helping to turn these communities around and build some hope and create some space for dreaming for our young people in particular. What I'm excited about, and this is something that was sort of missed in the mayor's announcement, is that we're going to make it possible for organizations already doing work in communities to get some support, but we're also going to make it possible for an individual who has a really good idea to get some support to develop and scale that idea. Now, those of us who've been in DC for a long time know we probably don't want to just write government checks to individuals, right? But what we're requiring is that an individual with a good idea partner with a 501c3 that has a long-standing history, and they develop a program with a partner. We're providing support to help them grow that idea into something meaningful. This is incredibly innovative. We're really excited about it for two reasons. One, sometimes people talk about the candy lady, right, in a housing authority property, and that's the person that everybody goes to buy candy. Sometimes they go to for a loan, almost always go to for some quick babysitting, right? We know these communities. And this isn't limited to housing authority properties, but it's certainly a place where this is something that we see over and over again. And that woman, if she has an idea and wants to get some support to get it done, we're gonna help her partner with an organization to do it, because she knows best in some ways what's happening in that community better than even some of the people who've been working in that community but don't live in it. So we're really excited about the innovation that is gonna grow out of that. There's some other things that we're gonna do, and you've read and heard a lot about them. I'm delighted to take questions about it. We've got some paper to share about the Safer, Stronger DC campaign that Tommy's gonna pass out. But here's what the headline, this is what you need to know. We're gonna make it harder for violent criminals, folks who are under supervision of any type, who are currently under supervision and have been convicted of or are awaiting pretrial release for a violent crime, to have access to guns, right? And we're excited about that piece, because here's what we know. I want people to hear this, more than 50% of the violent crime that has happened in this city has been perpetrated by someone who was on probation, parole, or pretrial release for a violent crime, right? And so what we've got to do in order to make our communities safe and safer is make sure that the folks who have a track record of doing harm don't do harm again. Some have heard about this and thought that we were looking at something like a stop and frisk in New York. That is not happening. That is not happening in the District of Columbia. The mayor would never propose such a thing. But what she is proposing is that we have a smart solution to make sure that we can take that 50% and make that 0%. And we're working really hard on that. There are other pieces, and we can talk about that. Now, just a couple of words about economic development. Some who came to my vision tour, and we've done several of them, 1 and 5, 1 and 6, 2 and 7, 2 and 8. And we're delighted to do more because I love visioning. I want people talking about the communities that they want to live in. Luckily, this community has been thinking about, talking about, and engaging on what they want their community to look like for some time. But one of the things I said there, and many people I feel like were pretty responsive to, is development shouldn't happen to us. It should happen with us, right? People shouldn't be coming into our communities and telling us what they are going to build. They should be engaging us to talk about what it is that we want to see being built in our community that will add to the community, and add to the community for all of the residents, those who've been here forever and those who just got here, because we are all now one big family, right? So we're incredibly excited to have an approach. Some folks have been involved in the our RFP process that DMPED has been running. We've done 2 so far, Parcel 42, and where was the second one? That's right. I couldn't make it to either, but they've been fantastic events where people have gotten to shape the RFP that goes out for developers to be able to begin developing on properties that we've been talking about for a really long time, right? So as we think about development as it happens anywhere in the city, that is how we're thinking about it. That is the approach. That we want to bring things to the community that will add to the community, that are motivated by the community, but most importantly, that the community has said that they want and are interested in seeing. So that will be how the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development approaches development. It'll be how I push him, since I don't have any of the leverage points of development within my cluster. But we do meet pretty regularly, because we all know that one of the things that helps to turn overlooked and underserved communities around is making sure that we have development that is effective and that works and that speaks to the needs of the people that live there. So I'll stop there, unless there's something else I need to mention. There are 2 things. Nothing else? I'm sure there's another thing. So the mayor tomorrow is sitting down with ANC commissioners tomorrow at 4 p.m. in the old council chambers. And then I'm sure all of you have heard about the reward that for tips on guns that lead to confiscation and arrest. And it's up to $2,500. So that hopefully will help get some of these illegal guns off the street. And what we're excited about, I know many of you follow the chief on Twitter, and the mayor and the deputy mayor, several of the deputy mayors, because you follow me too. And you'll see a good number of illegal guns getting taken off the street. We're incredibly excited about that too, because we know that if we can get the guns off the street, we can help to curb this violence in a really significant way. Okay.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I see your hand, Commissioner Roberts. First, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I'd like to put you on the spot to invite you back.
Yep.
So that we can have an extended conversation about, you covered a lot tonight. The vision tour I thought was excellent as well. We want to have a continued dialogue. I just want to put out there, I know I shared this with you before, we'll share it again, and I'll keep sharing it, that we don't want economic development to happen to us. We want to be a part of that process, and as such, you know, my community is very clear. We don't want a proliferation of bars or sexually oriented businesses. We want to see a variety of businesses and restaurants, bakery, art shops, you know, different businesses that are responsive to the community's needs. I mean, when we think about economic development, it doesn't always consist of bars. So, Commissioner Roberts, and then I want to open it up.
When I talk to businesses on Bladensburg, they are excited about one of the other grants that I don't think they hear off this. Yeah, so for some of that work. But the thing I hear most frequently is we don't know how to write a good grant.
Yep.
That's competitive.
Yep.
Can they get assistance from any offices?
Yes. Yes. Actually, it was within my purview. DSLBD helps to run the Great Streets program, and we can provide some assistance for them to do it. Now, I'm just going to highlight one of the things that I get frustrated about with Great Streets. It's a great program, right? The problem is it's a reimbursable grant, right? So that is, I gotta have the $50,000, used to be $85,000, the $50,000 in order to do the repairs and then get a reimbursement. What I'm excited about with the director of DSLBD, Anna Harvey, is she was a small business owner. And my brother, also a small business owner, always says, if you never manage payroll, don't talk to me about how to run a business, because you don't actually know. Maybe he's right. I've never run a business. I know a lot. I'm kidding. He's right. But if they had the $50,000, they wouldn't need the Great Streets grant, right? So the director has been hyper-focused on figuring out how we identify capital opportunities, either by loan or by grant, that helps bridge the reimbursable grant piece so that businesses can really take advantage of it. I can think of a number of businesses. The first one that jumps in my mind at this late evening is a corner store called Minix on Manhill and Burroughs in Ward 7. And the owner got a Great Streets grant. He has really lovely signage, but it didn't change. He wasn't able to use that grant program to really meaningfully change the facade of the store, right? And because of that, it didn't lift anything, although the signage is beautiful. But it's because that's just the money he had. He had enough money to be able to do that. So we're working to figure out some of those things and even expand the programs that'll help even more. We're rolling out something, I think, tomorrow that people in overlooked and underserved communities in particular are going to like, and business owners in particular. Yes, ma'am.
I would just add that Great Streets actually just extended the deadline for this round, so make sure that everyone knows that. And so we should engage with the folks at Great Streets and Denfed for resources.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like another.
Is it extended to?
I appreciate a lot of the comments on economic development, small business development, I guess providing more opportunities for people for work programs and stuff like that. It's a long time coming. That's good. One thing I would caution though is that a lot of times there's this knee-jerk reaction, it seems like, to say there's crime, therefore we have to flood the streets with police, right? So right now we have a couple situations that I'm familiar with here in the neighborhood, like a Starburst Park down here, for example. Police are there almost 24/7, right? They're posted there. which hasn't really done anything other than move the crime from there to my block, which is adjacent to the park. And the police have been told under no circumstances can they leave the park, even if they see crime occurring on my block. They can't come down there just for visibility. Because we sort of traded our actual policing for what seems to be kind of a charade, right? Another incident occurred about 2 weeks ago. An elderly neighbor called 911 because she had a peeping Tom looking at her window. Cops were nowhere to be found. After 10-15 minutes of her yelling, some neighbors saw it. We came down there. We tried to find the police. Where the heck are the police, you know? Turns out they're at the gas station down the road because they were told under no circumstances can they leave there because the citizens want the police to be visible.
Yep.
So I would just caution, you know, the push to just make everybody visible, right? Because it results in some cases in worse police service than we have today.
So I think that
And I think also we need to recognize that it's not just a policing issue, right? Crime
question.
is not just something to be fixed by police
Right.
alone.
So the mayor recognizes that, which is why we have this safer, stronger agenda. We know we're not gonna police our way out of this problem, right? You're absolutely right. Now, so, like I said, 5 months ago, I was sitting out there, and I started almost every sentence with, well, why can't I just see police walking the beat? Why can't we just see police officers talking to communities and knocking on doors, talking to neighbors and having conversations and building a relationship? And I think those are just the right questions. The points you make are absolutely correct. We have to make sure that we have a policing strategy that works. And I do believe a piece of it is about visibility, which is important, right? In some instances, it can be a real deterrent. But the other piece is about making sure police are actually able to do police work, which is the point that you're making. And I think it's about both finding the balance and appropriately addressing the needs of the community. I think we're there with you. I think the mayor's there too. So I don't want my focus on just more police being about, or I don't want you to hear that as me saying it's just more visible police. It really is more comprehensive than that. It's both more visible police and more police, hopefully doing some of the things that you're talking about as well. Yes, ma'am.
My question has to do with when you talk about the innovative ideas that you have.
I see you with that.
What ways are your advertising going to actually get at that candy lady, or how are you going to identify the candy lady?
Such a great question. So we have been working incredibly hard to get the word out in a variety of ways. All the social media, which the candy lady might not actually be on, right? All the social media, the mayor's newsletters, all of that stuff. But the other piece that we have the Mokers. And we have a partnership throughout ANC. So all of you, I'm sure, know or have seen Tommy, have talked to him, have heard. And the Mokers knock on doors for any number of reasons. To talk to residents of the district and to make sure that they have both what they need but know what city services are available to them. So that's one way we're doing it. But also, we've partnered with DCH, the Department of Community and the DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development, and the Housing Authority, among other agency stakeholders, to really make sure that we're getting information out as close to the ground as is humanly possible. So, for example, DCHA may not know all the candy ladies in the neighborhood, but somebody with whom they work very closely in those communities do know them, and they're talking to them. We had our first pre-bidders conference event, which happened, I feel like I've been in this job both a day and a year, right? So it feels like that happened 8 weeks ago, but really it was like last week, right? We had 170 people come, and it was both the organizations that have gotten support over the years, some unusual suspects, and some of those candy ladies. One of the women that came to the event was a senior from Ward 8, 87 years old, has been sort of the mother of the community and has an idea about how to scale a program and has been now partnered with a community-based organization to get it done. So it's not gonna be perfect, right? Like I know we're not gonna get to every single person who could probably do an amazing thing, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try, and it doesn't mean we aren't, and we are. So we'll keep doing it, and if you have thoughts, I wanna hear them too.
Yes, Mr. Bing, and Mr. Montague, and then you, ma'am.
I would just like to ask a question. I think it's real simple to show the kids. Now, you mentioned about development should happen with the neighborhood, not to the neighborhood. I just want to ask you a question. Let's say, for instance, in all that you share with us your stuff, you do businesses in Israel. But when businesses are coming up in the neighborhood, development and forming in the neighborhood, and it has an adverse effect to the neighbors around, they need to turn to someone, for help and assistance. Yes, and I'm saying this because when all of y'all in here, maybe y'all have construction going on around in your neighborhood, now on the street. May not be today, but it may be tomorrow, since we have a lot of y'all. So when you're having issues that need to be addressed, we can turn to it. The reason I'm asking is that I live on Hope Street, right across from the Kim School that was put down. It's a nice building, school over there. But the neighbor goes right across. We suffered some horrible stuff when we had to be in them. Now we turn to the mayor office. We turn to, I talk personally with Mayor Brady, who's in there. We had a talk with Councilman Duffy, who promised to help us in our situation here. Even had the mayor, before she became mayor, she walked over the street with us and promised that if she would become mayor, that she would assist us in what we were going through. I even talked with Mr. Tony. I guess out of all of the ones, at least he said that he would get back with me, and he got back with me. So we haven't received any help, and we still fighting the issue that was done to us when that school was put up. And to the point that a lot of times we had people